Okay, and welcome back. Now you have to see our last designer from the beginning. This is our WatchKit part. Okay, you can see now in the WatchKit part we will have two interface. One interface with some button for clear of history. We get this lab button. When we press this, we move on to the new interface, and this interface will show our history table. It's similar like our iWeb WatchApp. Okay, and we have some animated video or image in here or GIF in here, and inside of first interface beside of that image we have some button like play or stop or pause, or we get lap button. Okay, it's similar like iOS part, but we have to redesign on our WatchKit. Okay, and do you remember that when we make a designer in storyboard of our iOS app, we have some auto layout, some constraints that will help us to auto layout all the elements on the screen, that help us to auto arrange, auto layout the elements on the iPhone 5s, iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus, depend on the screen size, and our element will auto layout depend on that. Okay, but we get different with the iOS part. In our main storyboard of WatchKit app, we don't have auto layout function, so we have to manually arrange all the elements. And although we have two sides of the Apple Watch screen, 38 millimeter or 42, but we don't have auto layout, so we have to auto arrange of this. Okay, and now come back. In our first, we have to create two interface. Okay, now you can see as the underneath window in here. In the right side, we have some interface controller or another element. You can check this element for to see, and or you can join my course, another course about complete course about Apple WatchKit for more detail about these elements on this window. Okay, so this is a second interface, and second interface we only have one table view. So I will got the table, and in here I will got the table. Okay, that's enough at this time for next interface. And now we come back to the first interface. We will using some button and some image and some button. Okay, we will insert button, and we can drag the button to our first interface. And when you drag this to the first interface, you can see at the left side we have some interface controller. Inside that there is button, and at the entire window we have some property in here. You can see we can change the title. We can change this to something you like. It's either, for example, it's a line. Okay, you can change the title, or you can similar type to C. Okay, and you can change the color of this button. For example, you want to change the title color to the green or something like that. Okay, I will make it to better. It's a white, and you can change the font too. And the background color you can choose. For example, you can choose green if you like. And you can use the image for background. It's similar like we using in our main storyboard of iOS part. You can change the background of this, but in iOS we have some more property than in WatchKit at this time. Maybe in the future Apple will update the property for our WatchKit. Okay, and for views of this button we have some alpha or some hidden. For alpha we come see that when we reduce the alpha from 1 to 0, our button will disappear, but the place of this button is same. It means that that button is still there, but we can't see it. But you can see in some view here, we have some property is hidden property. If you use this hidden property, it have a little bit different. When we use this hidden, so the button will disappear, and we can't see it. Although when we set the alpha is 0, we can't see it, but the button is still there. It's different when we use a hidden. Okay. And another property that you have to notice that we have some position for our position and size for our button. Okay. First of all, about the position, we have a position about horizontal or vertical. In horizontal, we have to choose the left, center, or right. And the vertical, we have a top, center, or bottom. For example, if we can choose center, you can see on the main storyboard now our button will move the center of our interface. If you move the bottom, this move the bottom. It's not depend on the screen size of what Apple Watch. It's 38 or 42. It's no problem. It's to always move the bottom or the top or the center, depend on what we set it. Okay. You can play around this with some property of this button or another elements on our storyboard. Okay. And next is about the size. What is the size? Size means that we can set the size of this button. You can see we can set the width and the height of the side. And in the width property, we have to size to fit content. You can see when you set the size to fit content, it means that it will set the fit content of our title. For example, in here, if we set the C, or you can change the clear, you can see the size increase depend on our table, our title, and it's similar like the head. Okay, or you can choose relative to container. It means that it's use how many percent of our container, our screen size. For example, if you want to choose the width of this button to about the half of our screen size, it doesn't matter if we're using just 38 millimeter or 42 millimeter of Apple Watch. You can choose a square size here is 0.5. It means that we're using a half of the width of half of screen size. And similar in the head when you're using the relative to container and we're using the half of the screen size. As you can see now, okay, it's very clearly. And not depend on that, we can fix the width and the height if you want. And when you use this, use this property, you have to note about the 38 or 42 millimeter. And you can choose a little plus here. You can see for Apple Watch 42 or Apple Watch 38, you can set it. Okay, but I don't like this because I want to size. A lot of time I using size to fit content or relative to container. In some case that we can use a fix. Okay, it's very clear. So I will using the size to fit content. Size to fit content, and for here I using only clear. Okay, it's clear. And next I set up the image for this. Okay, so I search the image, I drag it, and you can see if you want to drag the image to at the right side of our button, it's not it's not allow you to set up our image to the right side of our button. It only allow you to set the image at the right top or the bottom of this button. Okay, if you want to do that, you have to use the group. You can understand the group is some another little view. It's similar like OS, but that you can arrange on the element inside that group is vertical or horizontal, depend on what you like. if you want to own this button and this image and this button come from one of the line, one line. So you have to use some group and you put the button, some image and this button to this group. Okay, so I will search the group. Here, this is our group, and inside the group, you can see at the right side we have some properties similar, like some properties is similar like our button, or some different that you can see in here. We have a layout, horizontal or vertical of the line. If you want to our button and image and another some to the horizontal, you can choose in here. Okay, and inset you can select inset the default or custom, and the spacing you can choose default or custom, and some background, some most color of that. Okay, you can play around with it, but at this time I use some our button to here, and now we can drag our image to this. Okay, and you can make another button for this. We can use last one button, and okay, and maybe we have to use you can copy this button to here by you can select and select this button and press Command C, and after that we press Command V. Okay, here's our button. Or if you don't want to do that, you can simply drag some button, another button from the entry window to our group, and I showed you another way that you can do that is you can select this button and keep the option and drag it to anywhere that you like. That means that you will copy to another button to our group. Okay, and you can see in our designer we have some part of here. You can see we have some group. First of all, we have a group, and this is the group. I think this is put this to group because we have two buttons at the same line, and another group in here in the two button. Okay, so I can separate to our interface to three group, one group for this. Okay, I will show you one group for this, and one group beside of this, and one group beside of this. That we have the two group, and as you can see that we can make the head of the first group is a half part of the screen, and towards another group below of that we using the 20.5. okay, 20.5 and 20.5. so for first group we can set the head of first group we using relative to container and set it to 0.5. okay, and for this group and for image I think I been using the width and the height to relative to container here. And for our button I think I will use some relative to container, and we choose 0.2, and height we relative to container I will use 0.3. and here for the last button it's similar. I can use for example I don't use C title for cheater, I will lap 0, and I have to move the font to a little smaller. And for this side, for width we choose 0.3, 0.2, and for height we similar, we have to using the 0.3. okay, so we have for one group is perfect, and for next group we can drag it to here, and width we make a related window is default is become 1, and height remember that we like to set it to 0.25, and inside of this group we have 2 buttons, and each button I mean that we make it to the half part of the screen. And now we can give the option and drag it to here, and now we have 2 buttons in here. Okay, you can select this group by selecting this side and keep the option and drag it again, and we have another group, but because this group is inside a first group, so we drag it to the outside. You can drag it to the outside here. Now inside the group we have 4 buttons. It's similar like our design. Now we have to change this to play, and this is stop, this is pause. Okay, capital the first letter, and this lap. And for this button, I think we have to change the background to the orange, and this button for red, this button for blue, and this button for green. Okay, 2 buttons here. I want to use another green for better see. Okay, so you can reduce this phone to element if you like. Okay, we have our first interface perfect. Now we can run to see. Okay, at this time why our button is come here, because in this time we don't have our interface for image in here, so we have to something the button will move it to the left. But you can select this button and you can see position horizontal is the left, and vertical to the top. I like the position of this image to the center, and vertical to the center. And with this last button, we have to set the horizontal is the right and vertical to the top. And now you can run and see. Okay, we have some button here, button here, and we need our animate image for this here. Okay, in next lecture I will have you to do that. Okay, see you in next lecture.